Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading. Today we're looking at a pretty tragic case. Now we normally do very tragic cases, but in this case we're looking at the case of Diane Schuler, who had a van full of children and herself of course, and on the afternoon of July 26, 2009, she sped the wrong way in the Taconic State Parkway and crashed into another car, killing 8 people. Now earlier that day, her brother, Warren Hance, received a phone call from Diane's phone, but when he picked it up, it was actually his own daughter, Emma. Warren listened to his 8-year-old Emma explain that Aunt Diane was having trouble seeing while driving and wasn't speaking clearly. When Diane got out and phone herself, she described being disoriented and having foggy vision. Warren told Diane to pull over and stay off the road, and he was going to be on his way to meet them, but by the time he arrived, she had already left. Now, Schuler had begun the day well. She and her husband had been camping for the weekend with their children and nieces at the Hunter Lake Campground in Parksville, New York, and they were preparing to head home that day, which was in West Babylon. Around 9:30 a.m., Diane, with her 5-year-old son Brian and her 2-year-old daughter Erin and her 3 nieces, 8-year-old Emma, 7-year-old Allison, and 5-year-old Kate, left the camp. They piled into her brother's red 2004 Ford Windstar minivan, while her husband Daniel followed behind in a truck with the family dog. Along the way, they stopped a few times at a McDonald's and several gas stations, which was apparently part of their ritual, and everything appeared okay. Around 11 a.m., trouble started. As Diane was making her way down the New York Thruway, she called her brother Warren to tell him they were being delayed as traffic in the area was heavy. However, at the same time she was reporting heavy traffic, other motorists on the New York Thruway were reporting a different series of events. According to several eyewitnesses, a minivan was driving aggressively on the highway, tailgating, flashing their headlights, honking their horn, and straddling 2 lanes. Other witnesses report seeing a minivan pulled over on the side of the highway with a woman bent over next to it who appeared to be vomiting. 2 hours after that, Warren would receive his daughter's phone call. What happened after the call and between then and the accident is still unknown. Also, for reasons unknown or perhaps intentionally, Schuler left the phone on the side of the highway and drove off, so that was after that call was made. Then at around 1:33 p.m., 911 operators received 2 separate calls reporting a minivan driving the wrong way up an exit ramp on the Taconic State Parkway. And a minute later, the operators received 4 more calls, this time reporting a similar van driving the wrong way down a parkway at 80 miles per hour. It would later collide head-on with a Chevrolet Trailblazer, which subsequently collided with a Chevrolet Tracker at 1:35 p.m. 7 out of the 11 people involved in the crash were pronounced dead at the scene. 1 would later die at the hospital, bringing the total number of fatalities to 8. The children were not secured in car seats or wearing seat belts. The 3 passengers of the Trailblazer, 81-year-old Michael Bastardi, his 49-year-old son Guy, and their friend 74-year-old Dan Longo were likely killed on impact. The 2 passengers in the Tracker received only minor injuries. Schuler's 5-year-old son Brian and one of her nieces initially survived the crash and were taken to a local hospital. Though Brian suffered from severe head trauma and several broken bones, he would ultimately survive, but unfortunately his niece would not. Now, there are many theories as to what was happening with Diane. I'm not going to read all of that because that might actually influence my thinking about what the cards are going to say, so I'm going to stop reading right now. In any case, we don't know anything for sure. I was asked to do a reading on this case, and we're going to do that, starting off with the Santa Muerte deck, which is already on the table. And for any further questions, moving on to the Hush Tarot deck, which is this one. Now, as per usual, I'm just going to start shuffling the deck. As soon as I have a table full of cards, we're going to stop and take a look. So without much further ado, let's get started. Okay, let's take a look what we've got. So we're starting off with the Five of Swords in reverse. There is some internal arguing going on over here. King of Pentacles is also in reverse. Normally the King of Pentacles is very practical, and they may feel like they're being practical here with their chest of tricks, but it may not have been quite as practical as they thought. Okay, the camera, sorry about that. Anyway, Magician is over here, so we are looking at somebody who is trying to be practical about things. I feel like there is already some indication within Diane herself that there may be something that she needs to work on. Something might be wrong, and she feels like she can fix it herself. That's what these two may be pointing at right there. So she's like, oh no, I have ways to deal with it. I'll just do that. No problem. Also focusing on emotions here with the King of Cups. Maybe that she is feeling, I think this is also a card feeling very responsible with the King of Cups. It's quite the responsibility to have a van full of young children, so they feel possibly like they need to take care of things without, I guess, alerting anybody over here, just taking care of it themselves. We have then the Ten of Wands in reverse and the Two of Wands also in reverse. So Two of Wands is normally trying to make plans to go places, and the Ten of Wands is very tired of carrying this burden. Could be that this has been going on for a while, but nothing that she hasn't seen before. So maybe there was something going on that she wanted to deal with, but currently she couldn't because Two of Wands is like making plans. This is kind of like, yeah, I know this is happening. Currently, I can't deal with this right now. I'm just going to take this or that, and then we'll look at it tomorrow, or I'll call somebody next week or something, because she's feeling very responsible to make sure that this trip is going to go well. I feel like this is what this first row is like. She's starting to feel something's going on. Also, I cannot currently do anything about it, so I'm just going to power through it. Like, that's what the first row appears to be like. We have here the Two of Cups and the Star in reverse, which is interesting. Normally, when I see the Star in reverse, and in particular with missing people, I tend to see that as people kind of like losing their light. The star is going down, and they are no longer shining bright in the sky. But with the Two of Cups and the Star in reverse with this particular case, I think that she is trying to calm people down, reaching out for their heart as well. Like, no, it's fine. Everything is going to be great. It's going to be fine. It's okay. And maybe then the star goes down as in she cannot make those promises anymore. We have the Fool up next, which strikes me as just doing whatever they can in the moment, trusting in the process maybe as well, because the Fool just lets the universe guide it where it may. And then we have the Four of Cups. We do not have any choices. There's no choices for us to make. We're pretty bummed out about that, obviously, but also there is nothing else we can do. A heart is in a puddle over there on the ground next to a centipede. It's kind of gross, but yeah, everything is out there for people to see. But they also don't want to make any other choices. This is just it. The way it is right now is what it is, and that's also kind of connected to the happy-go-lucky, although not much happy here. Trying to get lucky with the Fool over there as well. So I do feel like this is somebody who is just trying to get through the day, and then, well, as best as she can, doing the best that she can, and then, I guess, struggling with that. Then we have here the Seven of Pentacles in reverse and the Ace of Wands in reverse. So we are noticing that our choices were not the best here with the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles is normally like watching things ripen on the vine, but they are not ripening well. Again, we're looking at this centipede there on the ground here with the Ace of Wands. So the one we had over here is back, but over here to remind us that the choice we made is not the best. But I do feel like there is some stubbornness here. Like, okay, yeah, we made this choice. we're going to stick with it because this is what I got to do. And the Ace of Wands in particular is very much like, okay, we're going to get things done. I'll do it this way. I'll do it that way. It's going to be fine. And I kind of feel like this point maybe where they initially pulled over and she was sick along the highway, but then we continued. And I think that's what this Ace of Ace of Wands is pointing towards. So the next thing we have on the end here is the High Priestess in reverse. And I think this choice was made because at this point she did not have any more insight into what potential results could be. So she was not able to look beyond whatever she had set her mind to in that moment. So choices were made. She did not have the higher insight needed to decide to stick around like along the side of the road, kind of like what her brother suggested. Wait there, I'll come over. She did not have that overview anymore. So I guess now we are back in the van. On our way, we have the Page of Cups, which is a very negative surprise, and in particular because there is a nest attached to their feet, which appears to be a wasp nest. So not only did they make the wrong choices, I think they're starting to realize that they're really, really in the wrong place, but there's also not much they can do about it. And then, in any case, they're being shook up at this point. So maybe as she's sitting in the van, she's seeing cars left and right coming the wrong way. At least she may feel like they're coming the wrong way. And she is currently unable to understand what is happening and why this is happening. A little stack fell out, but we don't need all of them. So what do we have next, though? So she may already be on that on-ramp, or we may still be on the point where she's still like hogging 2 lanes and honking and doing all that crazy stuff. We see here the 9 of Cups in reverse. We're very unhappy about it. The unhappiness is kind of like spread out, maybe unhappy with people around her rather than unhappy with herself because it's in reverse. Or she could be hiding the fact that she's very unhappy from the kids, trying to keep them calm. Like, we're looking at a cup that looks like it's got some pretty flowers in it. The cup itself is decorated, but meanwhile there's a hole in the bottom and there's a snake right there. So there is a lot of trouble, and she's trying to hide it by only really showing the top half of the cup, like that type of thing. So she may be trying to pretend everything's fine, although of course her niece called her father to let him know what was going on. Then we have the 2 of Cups here, which is kind of like a lover's card, but I feel like this may be her trying to convince the children, the ones that are old enough to understand what's going on, that everything's fine, don't worry, I'll take care of you. But meanwhile, we also see some skeletons down there at the bottom, so it's not a very comforting type of don't worry about a thing, it's going to be okay. Like, on the one hand, the children probably wanted to believe what she was telling them, and on the other hand, they're not blind, so they know what's happening. Death in reverse. This could mean that she was unwilling to give up this whole trip, to give up on her stubbornness, to pull over the car and admit that she couldn't actually drive anymore. Could also literally be that this is where we do end up on the on-ramp, or the off-ramp rather, to the other highway where she should not have been. We're going against traffic, and then we encounter that fateful moment where the head-on collision took place. Let's see if we get any cards about the clarification about that. This is the 6 of Swords, but the boat is cut in half, so we're not actually going anywhere at this point. At least we're not going anywhere good, and we're definitely not going there on our own volition. And we have the Ace of Swords here, which is somebody riding half of a fake horse. I think we're very close to the end here. So she is at this point being led by something that is no longer her own consciousness, it seems. Like, the madness almost has taken over, particularly here with this Ace of Swords. Like, her mind is so warped that she thinks that she's still in control, even though it's not even really a horse that she's riding over here. There's all sorts of things wrong. The bird down there has an arrow that appears to be going through its wings. There's lots of arrows coming up from the ground. So this is pride before the fall almost, but a very disillusioned type of pride. So also the person on the horse, their eyes appear to be kind of white. It's like she can't even really see, which is also exactly what they said. Her vision was foggy and she was disoriented. Oops, that one's on the floor. Temperance in reverse, not able to hold our temper any longer. So we have completely lost it at this point. I cannot imagine the mood in the car at this point as well. We have a 3 of Swords, which is interesting. There may have been people considering intervening. This may be some type of argument or a reaction of the eldest niece. I believe she was the eldest in the car, aside from Diane, trying to convince her maybe to stop, or arguing with her, or trying to convince her that they maybe shouldn't be going this way. But also I'm looking at the person over there. That person is no longer alive. They have coins in their eyes for the ferryman on the river Styx, that type of thing. So it's kind of like a very last-ditch attempt at trying to convince her that maybe we should be doing something else, but it's kind of useless at this point. Okay. High Priestess in reverse. We're not able to see, just like the High Priestess over here, also in reverse, we're not able to see anything beyond what's right in front of us, if we can even see that. We're not listening to advice. We're not able to think beyond basic level thoughts, if that. We're just not able to comprehend anything more complex than what we are currently doing, like tunnel vision. And strength, which is interesting. Like the only thing that's powering her at this point is just the strength to continue. Obviously, if you look at the state of this person's body, there's an arm missing, there's bits that are like attached to other bits with rope and things like that. So this is definitely not a healthy situation. I think this is symbolizing basically the strength which she still had to keep it going, even though she was in a terrible state. And since we know the aftermath, I think this is going to be the end of the reading. What it looks like is that she had an issue at the start of the day. She tried to fix it, power through it, thinking that it was going to be fine. Maybe she's had a similar episode in the past and she was able to deal with it then with a similar fashion. But now things were too far gone for her to be able to deal with it. So maybe there was that going on. And that just went from bad to worse until ultimately she could not really see straight, physically and literally, like, or figuratively, I mean. And that ended up leading to a very focused but very deadly attempt at just powering through things with what strength she had left. So that is what I'm seeing for Diane Schuler. Very tragic. I hope you found it interesting. In any case, make sure to leave a comment and a like. That really helps the channel along. If you want to subscribe, that's even better. Very much appreciated. In any case, I hope to see you in another reading. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.